What's up, Oshean? You got Matt here, coach of your Montreal Milotic, bringing you our Week 6 battle for the NCP. We are already 6 weeks in. It is crazy. We are sitting at a record of 4 wins, 1 loss with a plus 12 differential. We are killing it right now. Super happy with how the season has gone for us. Our team has just been amazing. Yes, guys, I do have Uxie and I do have Vileplume. I messed up, but the last time around, we do have those mons. It took me too long to actually announce that we made those transactions, but that is part of our team now. And we are playing off against the Atlanta Victinis with another team with Mew and Weavile on it at the same time. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, every single time I play Mew and Weavile, every time I play Mew or Weavile, they're always on the same team together. I don't know what it is. Regardless, look at this team. It's very, very scary. You got Togekiss, you got Conkeldurr, you got Toxtricity as well with it. Sandslash as its only ground type is a big problem for him because it means that my Koko can really go in. But he also has Porygon Z. He also has Webs and Arachnid. Turtonator, if you look at Turtonator and look at its stab options, and look at what it does to my team if it gets the +2 from Shell Smash, thank God Koko outspeeds. Thank God. Oh my God. This Turtonator is so strong. It's so scary for me to deal with, but hopefully we can get the job done against that thing because it is such a scary mon for us. Just can't let it set up. If it does come, I kind of anticipate it to be either a setup set or a very physically defensive set, and it's a really strong mon because it takes hits very well from a lot of my team, so I kind of expect it to be coming. But let's go ahead and jump into it. Our first mon that we're going to be talking about is going to be our Tapu Koko. And by the way, shout out to Tone for the help on this, as well as shout out to Meta Night King. Both of them were really helpful for this as well, and of course all the members of my front office were really great for all of our builds and everything. And we do have a new member of our front office, Alolan Jose, so shout out to him for joining us. He reached out after I asked for a bit of help after our BBL battle 2 weeks ago, and he ended up joining the squad. So thank you, man, appreciate it. But let's go ahead and jump into it. Our first mon is the Koko. Koko is great because it has speed on the set, creeping Weavile, creeping Alolan Persian, which is really specific. I get that, but it's still a really strong set nonetheless that allows us to outspeed a large amount of things. If he's Adamant, we'll outspeed it as well. That's another thing. But if he is Jolly, then we will not outspeed it unless, again, he is creeping that Alolan Persian. We take an Escavalier's Banded Iron Head, and we take 2 max special attack Dazzling Gleams from the Togekiss, and we have special defense for Timid +2 Flamethrower or Scorching Sands from the Turtonator, and we have speed for Modest +2 Turtonator on top of that as well. So basically, if he is the setup set, he has to be running enough speed for, well, he has to be running Timid, essentially. That's what he has to run, or else we're going to be able to outspeed him. If he's running Timid, he loses out on a ton of extra power on his Turtonator, so I feel pretty good about that. Honestly, this set is weird. It's really weird with the boots. It allows us to make sure we can come in on rocks, on webs, on whatever, and just fire off wild charges or brave birds against everything. Brave bird is there kind of specifically for the Conkeldurr. It's a very strong mon, so I didn't want to have that thing just beat me down because it is so terrifyingly good that I just can't have that happen. But yeah, that is going to be our Koko. It is a really good pivot for us this entire week. Hopefully it can get us into our big threats, our win cons like our Keldeo and our Scizor, and ideally just help us go for a game that way. But our next mon is going to end up being that Scizor here that I was talking about. Scizor is our win con this week with Bullet Punch, Dual Wing Beat, Swords Dance, and Roost. Look at this coverage. Look at my opponent's team. Tell me, what wants to take both of these? Nothing really. I mean, Turtonator maybe, but if I'm at +6, I Oko anyways. So I feel good about that. Mew doesn't really want to stay on me. He has to run a fire move for it. I can set up on Weavile. I can set up on Togekiss that's like locked into Dazzling Gleam or something, or doesn't have Flamethrower. I can kind of force it out as well if it's weakened because Bullet Punch does so much damage. Toxtricity, Overdrive, a Specs Overdrive does a ton, but it doesn't actually Oko me, so I feel good about that too. I can set up on a Escavalier as well, set up on Porygon Z that's locked into like Tri-Attack or something, and that's not running Specs or something, so it's basically, I can set up on a lot, and I'm hoping to do that because it hits so freaking hard. If I can force it in the Arachnid, and as long as I don't get Scald Burnt, and I just go for Swords Dances, then oh my god, we just rip through my opponent's entire team. That is the goal with this Scizor. On this set, we have enough bulk to take a two Timid Specs, Adaptability, Porygon Z Tri-Attacks, and we also take a Specs Modest Overdrive from the Toxtricity, and like I said before, we set up on so many things. I really didn't need much speed, but I want to have a little bit just to be safe, but hey, look, this Scizor is fantastic. It's really good. Hopefully it is the win con for us this week. It can be very strong. Honestly, if it doesn't win the game, I'd be very surprised. And if it doesn't win the game for us, then we're probably going to lose, honestly, because this team is really scary. Moving on to our next mon is going to end up being our Arcanine. Now, Arcanine has a really solid matchup this week as an answer for the Weavile, as an answer for kind of the Conkeldurr, as an answer for, I guess, the Togekiss as well in its own sense, and also for the Escavalier. Honestly, this thing checks a good deal of things. With Intimidate, we can lower the attacks out of a lot of different Pokemon. We have a ton of, honestly, it's a really weird set. We're running a Timid Nature when we have so much investment into our defense and into our HP. So you might think it might be better for us to run a Defensive Nature, but no, because we have 95 base speed and only 80 defense, it is better for us to run a Timid Nature. We get the same amount of investment that we need to, plus a little bit more as well. So guys, make sure to test out what is going to give you the most amount of extra EVs as possible. But this Arcanine, oh boy, it has speed on this set for the Modest Togekiss specific. That way I can know if he is timid or if he's Scarf or whatever the case may be. We take Weavile's Jolly Life Orb knockoff with our item into a knockoff without our item. And that's at neutral, by the way, just so you know. We also take a Modest Life Orb Toxtricity's Boom Burst and a Specs Timid Porygon Z's Adaptability Tri-Attack. Basically, we take hits. We chew so much. I would love for this thing to get Mystical Fire. Unfortunately, it doesn't. If it had Mystical Fire, I'd feel so much better about this set, but unfortunately it doesn't. Flamethrower is just gonna have to do. Roar is there to stop Mew from setting up all over me, is there to stop the, I guess, what else is there? It's just gonna set up on the Turtonator, I guess, the Porygon Z. Yeah, honestly, that's pretty much it. I can Toxic them as well, but just in case they're running sub, I have Roar, and I can just go right past that. If you guys don't remember from last week, Roar does definitely go through Substitute. But yeah, that's going to be our Arcanine. Moving on to our next mon, it is going to end up being our... Let's go with Keldeo next. Keldeo is really cool as a pivot for us this week. It's running an Assault Vest, no Flip Turn, but the coverage that I have on it is very important. I would love to run Flip Turn on it, but I don't know what I would take off. I'm running Scald, Icy Wind, Secret Sword, and Air Slash. Icy Wind allows me to hit something like the Togekiss, weaken it substantially, and also make it slower than us now, which is going to be great. It also slows down things like the Mew for us, which is going to be very valuable, so that I can't just set up all over me. If it just tries to set up on my Keldeo, if I can just weaken it with Icy Wind, continuously slowing it down, it's going to be very valuable for me, especially if it's not running a speed boosting set. So it's very solid there. It weakens something like the Sand Slash as well. Obviously, we have the Scald for that. We have the Secret Sword there for the, what is it called? The Porygon Z. It hits the Arachnid for pretty good damage. I think Air Slash will hit it for a little bit better damage, but Air Slash is there specifically for the Conkeldurr, which is a huge threat. So yeah, I didn't really know what I want to take off for Flip Turn, but at the end of the day, it's a really strong set. It's a good pivot. It can take a good chunk of hits from many different things. It resists Weavile stabs as well, and it can KO it back with the Secret Sword on top of that. So honestly, it's a really good set. He has to really play around it because Keldor's been very good offensively the past few weeks. So if he's paying attention at all, he would know that I like to run my Keldeo offensively, and he has to prep for that, and he might not anticipate a very supportive, pivoty Keldeo. Our next mon is going to be the Rhyperior. Now, Rhyperior is important because without it, we just like auto lose to Toxtricity. Not even gonna lie, it's that scary, it's that strong against us. So we have a really interesting set, tons of wacky spreads all over the place, like 52 in attack, 60 in defense and in special and speed rather, and then 92 in special defense with almost max HP. What is this set? What does it do? Well, with Dragon Tail, first of all, we can phase out things, which is very valuable for us. Protect gets us extra recovery from leftovers, allows us to scout a few things as well, if anything is scarfed. Earthquake and Rock Blast is my opponent's team for amazing damage all over the place. It's just really good. He has no resists to Edgequake coverage, which is amazing, and honestly it's just a really strong set all around. So what does it do? It takes 2 Life Orb Boom Bursts from Toxtricity, and we also take an Adamant Guts Close Combat from the Conkeldurr, and we have speed for 12 speed Conkeldurr. So in case he's running a very slow Conkeldurr, then we'll outspeed it and fire off an Earthquake and do tons of damage to it. That is basically it for the Rhyperior. There really isn't nothing much about it. It's just a very straightforward set. So ideally you can just phase things out, and that's going to be the best case for us. Our final mon is going to be Cerebro, our Uxie, making its 2nd consecutive appearance. This thing, it takes a Life Orb Weavile's knockoff after Rocks. It also takes 2 Scarf Modest Boom Bursts from Toxtricity and allows me to Psychic or Thunder Wave or U-Turn, and the big thing is I can also yawn things, put them to sleep for switches. That is kind of what this Uxie wants to do. My team has a lot of annoying parts to it. We have our pivoting Koko, we have our pivoting Uxie that statuses everything, we have our Arcanine that can poison everything, just phase things out as well with that and with Rhyperior, and we can just set up and go for game with the Scizor and just be annoying and really powerful with the Keldeo. So it's a really strong team. I'm hoping that can put in a lot of work for us, guys. This is going to be our team for this week's battle. Hopefully we can get to, what is it going to be, 5-1? Oh my god, if we get to 5-1 in NCP, that'd be amazing. We could still be a #1 overall after 6 weeks, which would be nuts. But yeah, guys, that is going to be our team for this week's battle. Let me know which Pokemon you think is going to be the MVP of the week, and let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right, everyone, welcome back. So looking at the team he ends up bringing, he brings the Mew, the Porygon Z, the Togekiss, the Toxtricity, Turtonator, and the Conkeldurr. Some very scary, notable threats here. My plan here is to lead off with Coco. He actually doesn't have a ground type, so I can freely click my Wild Charge against anything. He has 2 resists in the Turtonator and the Toxtricity, and honestly, I don't think either wants to really take multiple hits from Coco, so I'm going to lead off with that as we're going to go ahead and get started, and hopefully we get the win here. We would love to improve our record right now. I'm actually recording this the day before it goes up, and I'm going to pause it here because this is an important situation that just happened on the screen, but I'm recording this on the day it goes up because the footage did not look great on my previous recording, so I have to do it one more time. But one thing that's very important is I'm going to reset it and we're going to play this again. Let me know what ability pops off first. Is it going to be the Porygon's download, or is it going to be Electric Surge? What happens first? Coco comes in, Porygon Z comes in, download happens, then Electric Surge happens. That means we know for a fact he is 100% Choice Scarfed. The Pokemon whose ability goes first means it is a faster Pokemon. That's something I wish I knew before I got started playing, but let's go ahead and jump into it. Now we can play this game with the confidence that this thing is a Scarfed PZ. So I can freely go for a Wild Charge here. Reason for that is because he likely is Scarfed, we'll be able to take whatever hits, and we can then recover back any health we would need to. So I'm just going to go for the Wild Charge here, do tons of damage to anything, and he goes into Turtonator, which is fine by me. I'm okay with that. We get off about 20% of this thing, about 15% actually, and I can now go for a very free U-turn against the Turtonator to get into something that can handle it. And one thing that definitely can is our Assault Vest Keldeo. So Keldeo's going to come out, again, once more, the Keldeo Resolute with the Special Horn is carrying Secret Sword. It has to carry Secret Sword, so that's important to note. He ends up going for the Toxic, which surprises me, so we know he's a more defensive set. I can definitely gauge that from the damage that the Turtonator does, or we did to the Turtonator with our Coco. The good news is, we can now make a prediction, and the prediction was that we went for the Icy Wind against the Togekiss. That was a heavy misplay, but it also could have been very beneficial if he was Scarfed. If he was Scarfed, we would have been able to outspeed this following turn and get an attack off and determine what would be the best course of action. If he's not Scarfed, then I can tell you guys right now he is not Scarfed. We would have been better off firing off Scald. If we go for Scald, Scald is 80 base power plus Stab is 120 base power. 80 times 1.5 is 120 versus Icy Wind, which is 55 base power, times 2 because it's super effective, does 110 base power. So essentially, we lost out on 10 extra points of power plus the chance to burn by not going for the Scald. So going forward, we're going to click Scald against the incoming Togekiss. We now know that this is his answer to the Keldeo, so we'll go ahead and continue on. As at this point, I'm just going to switch out. Arcanine is a pretty free switch in here for me. I didn't want to get Toxic on my Coco. I didn't want to get Flamethrower on it either, so I felt like Arcanine was going to be pretty safe. It can pretty much deal with anything. And at this point in time, he doesn't get the Roost off, as I can go for a very free Toxic, because I think that thing's going to be very annoying. But thankfully, he goes into the Mew, which is very nice because even though our Arcanine is now Toxic, it's very useful to have this thing poisoned as well. That means that it just can't come in and just set up all over me, so I'm not too worried about it being a setup set anymore. But it looks like he's not going to be that because as I go into my Uxie to take whatever hit he wants to go for, he goes for Rocks, which is surprising. The good news is I have a very free U-turn here because he's already statused and Uxie's just now meant to get priority, or not priority, but momentum into something else, and that's exactly what happens as he goes into his Porygon Z and gets the special attack boost, which is very scary. So I go into Keldeo, which can eat any hit because of our Assault Vest. I also think that we should be able to take anything like a Thunderbolt because that's +1 and not +2 and not Specs. So I go for the Scald here expecting the Togekiss to come in. It also helps me deal with pretty much anything else because Icy Wind is not the most useful thing in the world right now because I don't expect him to be a setuping Mew because he's running Rocks. I don't think he goes hard into the Toxtricity, and if he does, he'd have to be Choice Scarf to outspeed me, and if he is Choice Scarf, then we'll be able to take the hits because it's not getting an extra boost in its special attack from the Choice Specs. So Scald is the safest play, and we end up getting rewarded there. Our reward is a free burn on the Togekiss, which is very nice to have. And I imagine the thing's going to be Boots. That's my belief that it is. I go into Uxie this time though because I feel like I can just freely U-turn around a lot more. So I believe I'm going to go for the Psychic here if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but I think Psychic is going to be my play here. As he ends up switching out into the Mew, and please might go for Psychic here or do I go for U-turn? I go for Psychic. Amazing. It's been a long time since this game has been played. I'm hoping the live comps come back. They actually are going to be back next week, so get excited for that. Make sure to smash the like button and Wi-Fi battles. Oh my god, I can't speak. I'm going to pause it because it's important. Wi-Fi battles and live comms are coming back next week, so be sure to come back for that, guys. I know a lot of you have been really disappointed that it hasn't been live comms and it hasn't been Wi-Fi battles, but they're both going to be back next week, so we'll go ahead and jump into it. But he goes for Cosmic Power on my U-turn here, and Cosmic Power is so surprising. I don't know why he ran that set, but I'm pretty confident that he wouldn't have gone for Cosmic Power if he didn't have Roost because he has Toxic, and at the same time, if he has Roost and Cosmic Power and Rocks, then he definitely needs coverage. He needs a way to hit me. And I think because he's not running Calm Mind, I think the best option for him to go to would be with Store Power, which can be very scary, but it means he can't touch my Scizor, and Scizor is my win con. So this basically means I can get to Scizor pretty freely against the Mew and just set up on it. So keep that in mind. Scizor is my way to get this win, and we need to get in on the Mew alive to beat it, because nothing else really we can set up on against Scizor. And we also have to wait until that Turtonator is weakened. So let's continue on after our U-turn. We do a good bit of damage to it, 15% is really solid as we can go into our Rhyperior, and I'm saying to myself, the reason I went to Rhyperior is because I want to phase this thing out. I'm going to go for a very free Dragon Tail. It's going to get rid of the Mew, get my Rhyperior, and hopefully to a better matchup as he does reveal the Roost now, so now we can confirm he only has one attacking move. We get a crit on the Dragon Tail, and to make matters worse, we actually send him out into the Turtonator, and Turtonator is unfortunate because I can go for a very free Earthquake. Honestly, he wasn't going to go Togekiss on this. He was not. And the reason I say that is because if he went Togekiss on my Rhyperior and I land a Stone Edge or I get multiple hits with Rock Blast, then the Togekiss is gone. At that point in time, the Keldurr just comes in and clicks buttons and kind of just cleans up. So I felt it was very free to go for the Earthquake. And at the same time, it is enough damage to the point that Conkeldurr cannot just repeatedly switch on me all the time. It is going to cause problems against the Conkeldurr for sure, which is a very scary Pokemon for me to deal with. It is so strong, especially if it gets a Guts boost. The good news is I don't see a Flame Orb, which means it's probably not Guts. But I get the Intimidate off on it, and now we're going to confirm my suspicions. He's going to end up going for Drain Punch, getting back Recovery. 34% is important to note because that means I can guarantee that at -1, he is actually going to be a Iron Fist set. Yes, he is getting Iron Fist boosted Drain Punches now, which probably means he has Fire Punch as well, and that's going to KO my Scizor, so I cannot set up on this thing unless it's really weak and I can just fire off a Bullet Punch and pick it off. But at the end of the day, we got that valuable information. It does suck though because we are weakened on our Arcanine. I'm really wishing I had Boots right now. The good news is, I can just fire off a very free Toxic once more. Toxic is going to be toxicking this thing unless he goes into Mew or into the Toxtricity. I'm not worried about it. And because he's not Guts, I can go for the Toxic, which can weaken it. So every time he does come in, even if I might make a prediction and go for Rock Blast against it, or maybe go for, I don't know, a U-turn on it, I can still get more chip damage off on it just by getting momentum and forcing this thing into the field, which is very valuable to really chip it down because it is another problem, especially. It's an especially big one whenever my Rhyperior is in. If Rhyperior goes down, that's huge for the Toxtricity. So I'm going to continue here. I'm going to go for the Toxic as we're going to get back some recovery and take some chip from Leftover, or from Toxic, excuse me. But he's going to make a double into the Mew. And I'm telling you guys right now, my play here, I have to stay in and I have to recover up health. I just cannot afford to just let my Arcanine go. Right now, it is just not in the best interest of me. So I'm going to go for the Morning Sun here, see what he kind of wants to do as he fires off a Roost. And that's fine with me. He's going to start taking some chip damage from the Rocky Helm, or not Rocky Helm, but the Toxic, excuse me. And at this point in time, I'm thinking, you know what? I don't really want you setting up. I'm just going to go for the Roar. I cannot risk you setting up. It's just not happening. So I roar him out, and I end up bringing him into the Conkeldurr once more. And I would love to just go for a free Morning Sun or switch out, but I don't have to switch into Conkeldurr, so I really want a Toxic. So I go for Toxic again, but he goes into the Mew, and I can now kind of play this same old song and dance again. Do I go for my Morning Sun? Do I go for a Toxic? What do I do here? Well, I'm actually going to go for a Roar here once more, and the reason I do that is because in the event that he sets up, he won't be able to set up anymore. He's going to be phased out. The problem is I have to sack off my Arcanine. The reason I didn't just hard switch out there was because I died to Rocks on entry. If I was Heavy Duty Boots, I probably would have switched out, in all honesty, into the Uxie, but I do that here, and the reason I do that is because I can confirm that he's Scarfed. And the reason I can do that again from earlier in the game, download activated before the activation of Electric Surge. So we know he's Scarfed. That means that even a super effective Dark Pulse or Shadow Ball won't KO my Uxie from full, so I can go freely for that. The only thing that would suck is if he flinches me with Dark Pulse. That would really suck, but hey, it's the risk we have to take. But he is Shadow Ball. You see, we take the hit pretty good. We are not really appreciating the hits. We're really not, but the fact that I'm able to get the Thunder Wave off on a Scarf Porygon Z is massive. I can now go for a very free U-turn here, as he is going to be undersped, or we're going to be outspeeding that thing. He's going to underspeed us. I can go to Keldurr, which is a Solid Fest. We can take any hit. We know he's locked into Shadow Ball, and you're going to see here, he does a good chunk of damage to us, and that's really solid. But the thing is, I have to make a play because I'm going to pause it beforehand. I have to make a play here because he just goes into Togekiss and then he just beats me, and I'm going to die to the next round of Toxic, so there's no reason to keep this thing in when I know he's going to switch out. He can't lose his Porygon Z. It's still a really good breaker for him, and I would lose my Keldurr for nothing essentially, which I really don't want to have happening. So I'm going to make a play here. I'm going to pull a double, and I'm going to go hard into Rhyperior because the Togekiss is absolutely a very free switch in, so I can now make the play here, and I believe right now, I think I have to go for the Rock Blast if I'm not mistaken, or do I go for the Earthquake? I think I go for the Earthquake here. We go for the Earthquake, we catch the Conkeldurr, and the reason the Earthquake is so free there, or was so good of a play there, it was a 50-50, let's be honest, but if he loses his Togekiss, I think he ends up losing a lot of utility and just a very free way to deal with a lot of my team, because it's going to start walling everything, especially once the Rhyperior goes down. So he probably wants to get rid of Rhyperior instantly, but at this point again, the Conkeldurr comes in, and I have to make a decision. What do I sack? It's between one of two Pokemon. I either sack off my Keldeo, which is at 12%, or I sack off my Uxie, which is at 25%. Well, if he goes for Drain Punch, then he's going to get back a bit more health from Uxie. And Uxie still has some viability by paralyzing things, yawning things, going for U-turn, gain momentum. Keldeo doesn't have momentum, and it's going to die to the next hit of Toxic plus Rock, so it's just a sack anyways. So because of that, I say, you know what, Keldeo, as good as you are, you're just a sack right now. I'm going to go into Keldeo. It's also going to gain back the least amount of recovery as possible, only 6% off Pokemon with not too high of an HP stat, so he only gains back 3%, which is nothing. And I can now go freely into my Koko and click Brave Bird. Again, if he goes into something like the Turtonator, it's going to take a huge amount from the Brave Bird because it's not a resisted hit, but he goes into Mew instead, which is surprising, but I mean, hey, whatever works, I guess. I'm pretty confident his only attacking move is the Store Power, but I'm going to go for a very free U-turn here. I can outspeed it, do tons of damage. If he doesn't Roost here, he's going to be like, you see how weak he is now. He has to go for Roost here. But I go into Scizor here, and this is a mistake. Going to Scizor right now was a problem because I can't beat the Turtonator right now. I just can't. So I'm actually going to make a play, and I believe I'm going to pull a double here, expecting the incoming Turtonator, if I'm not mistaken. I think I go hard into my Rhyperior. So we're going to switch out, and I go into Rhyperior. And I believe he's going to switch out as well. And what does he do? He actually goes for Cosmic Power. Now, the reason he goes for Cosmic Power, I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know why. He must feel like he has Flamethrower as his final move. Maybe he thought he was going to switch out. Who knows? Maybe he thought he could take the U-turn. But I'll take it. I get into Rhyperior. Rhyperior can kind of beat this thing 1v1. Store Power would do a solid bit of damage, but if he's Flamethrower, then it's going to do nothing. And if he's Flamethrower, yeah, there's a chance to burn, which is not the end of the world. But at the end of the day, as long as we weaken the Mew, we're in a good spot. So let's go ahead and go for the Earthquake here. Again, very free, or the Dragon Tail, excuse me. Dragon Tail is very free. We stop this thing from just setting up. You see it does 24% to me. Cosmic Power is his last move, and that is confirmation that we can beat it 1v1 with our Scizor. And in comes this thing again, and I go very free Earthquake here. Earthquake is so free because I can, again, if Conkeldurr comes in, I get rid of it. If Mew comes in, we basically get rid of it. Look at how much we did to it, 40%, that's amazing. Now, here's the problem. If he wasn't leftovers there, I might have just lost the game. And the reason for that is because I cannot allow this thing to die. My whole game plan right now has to be to get rid or weaken the Turtonator to the point where it's in the range of like +2 Scizor. Not +6, but +2 Scizor. And if I can do that, then I can win. But if Mew is around, then that's the only thing Scizor can set up on right now. Nothing else really it wants to set up on, really. It's unless it's like a attack boosted Porygon Z's Tri-Attack. That's the only thing I can really set up on, and I gotta be careful with that. So I make a mistake here, and I go for Earthquake again. Thankfully, he went for Roost, and thankfully, we don't get a crit. If we got a crit there, it would have been really difficult for us to win this game. So he's going to get back recovery from leftovers, he's going to take the 12% chip, and at this point in time, I notice my mistake, and I say, no, I have to go for the Dragon Tail. So I go for the Dragon Tail here, ends up being a huge benefit for us. We get this thing out on the field, it's still at a respectable amount of HP, so it can come and do things, and we get back into the Turtonator. Again, here's another 50-50. Do I Rock Blast? Do I Earthquake? What is the play here? I actually believe, because of the HP percentage that the Conkeldurr's at, let's take a look at it, is at 28%. If I get 5 hits with Rock Blast, I believe we can get the KO on it. It's unlikely, but it's enough. And at the same time, if I go for Rock Blast and I get like 2 hits even, that's like the worst case scenario, but I still have a sack in my Uxie, which means I can then go into Koko and click a very free U-turn, which should KO Conkeldurr, or I should be able to chip down something else. So essentially, there was a no drawback play to go for the Rock Blast here. So I go for the Rock Blast, trying to catch the Togekiss if it does come in, trying to catch the Conkeldurr if it does come in. It's basically an expectation that he's going to switch out. If he doesn't switch out, we need 4 hits to KO it. So I'm going to go for the Rock Blast here. Let's see. What does he do? Does he switch out or does he stay in? Well, he stays in, and we get 1, 2, 3, and 4 hits. We managed to get the KO on it. That's amazing. The fact that we got 4 hits on that Rock Blast was huge because he probably would have. He actually told me after the game he was going for Toxic there, trying to go for a game plan, an end game of the Toxtricity. But the fact that he loses out on his Turtonator means that Scizor wins. As soon as I get in on Mew, Scizor wins. So he ends up getting the special attack boost from the download on the Porygon Z. I'm going to go into my Uxie to sack it off, and then go into my Koko, get a free Wild Charge off, and start U-turning around. But he gets fully paralyzed, which is a benefit for me. I'm going to fire off a Psychic here. Again, I want this thing to drop. That's just a benefit for me. So I go for Psychic. As he goes into the Mew, I'm like, oh, it's on. It is on. Right now, your play needs to just be to fire off a Cosmic Power and then like recover up and hope you die. That is your play. Your play right now is just to die. So I go for a U-turn here, and thankfully he goes for Roost. I'm like, okay, it's time. It is time. Let's go into Scizor. Let us click buttons. So in comes the Scizor, and Scizor will click Swords Dance. And Scizor will click not 1 Swords Dance, not 2 Swords Dances, but 3 Swords Dances. Oh my god, we are actually going to be able to just sweep him here. I don't think there's anything you can do at this point. So we're thinking 3 Swords Dances because you're going to see here, he's going to go for the Cosmic Power, or not Cosmic Power, but the Store Power, excuse me, and it's going to be doing pitiful damage to me. +1, Store Power, 12%. I can tell you guys right now, if he's at +6, he actually will not be able to 2 KO me with Store Power because of my leftovers. If I didn't have leftovers, it'd be a roll, but still, he wouldn't be able to 2 KO me. Yeah, that's just, I love, Scizor has been absolutely amazing for me. Right now at +3, and as long as he's not a Sash, Toxtricity, or a Babiri Berry Togekiss, we should win this game. I'm going to pause it here because you see he goes for Store Power there. I could have made a decision. Do I go for the Bullet Punch and get the guaranteed KO on this and pick up another one on another kill for Scizor? Or do I go for a Roost here on the off chance that he specs Toxtricity with Overdrive and he has access to a, and he doesn't, let's say he invested for +6 Bullet Punch, who knows? Do I go for Bullet Punch or do I go for Roost? Well, you guys can tell because the fact that Store Power went first, I went for Roost here. So I Roost up the damage and I get back to full, which is exactly what I need in this situation. So yeah, it's 1 less kill for Scizor, potentially, and another kill for Arcanine, but it's something I desperately need to get back to full HP just to be safe. So in comes the Toxtricity, I go for the Bullet Punch here. Is he Sashed? Is he Specs? Well, we don't really find out because he is actually just going to drop in 1 hit, and that's amazing for us. Absolutely huge, we get that. In comes Conkeldurr. If it does Mach Punch, it'll hit me, but we just outspeed anyways and go for a Bullet Punch and KO it, so who knows if he even had the Mach Punch. In comes Togekiss. Is it Babiri Berry? Well, I'm pretty sure it's Boots, and yeah, not Babiri Berry. Down goes the Togekiss, and it looks like Scizor will actually just clean up, picking up 4 kills for us, and we end up getting a 4-0 win. I'm not going to lie, guys, we ended up getting pretty lucky this game in terms of rolls with our phasing. We managed to get out of the Mew a couple times with Conkeldurr, which could let me go for a free Toxic. As long as we didn't force in the Toxtricity, we'd be in a good position. I bet it definitely felt that was a positive force. And we also Dragon Tailed into the Turtonator so many times, and we got definitely lucky with that hitting 4 Rock Blast hits. So we have to understand that, and there's ways we could have done better, but our Scizor set was perfect. It was beautiful. We were able to establish our win con. I'm so happy about that because that is what it's about. We were able to establish our win con, and people ask me all the time, Matt, can you make a video talking about how to figure out what your win con is, how to change a strategy on the fly? And I do want to get to those, but this is part of it. Watching videos like this from your favorite content creators like me or whomever, then that's just, it's huge because you have to learn where they made their mistakes and see how you can improve on it and see what you would have done differently in any situation. So that's what I want to ask you guys right now. Let me know if there's any situations in this game, whether it's for me or my opponent, that you would have gone for something a bit different rather than what was actually shown up on the replay. That's important, guys. Go through these things in your head. Make sure to try and figure out these different scenarios and see what you could do better in certain situations to become a better draft league player, to become a better competitive Pokemon player. So guys, I appreciate you watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like on the video, comment your thoughts on the battle down below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel as well for more competitive Pokemon content. We have the Oshean League going on. The applications are live. They end on Christmas. The link is in the description. I should have had a disclaimer at the beginning of the video on the Teambuilder, so make sure to go back and check that out as well. And guys, I'm excited. This is going to be a fantastic time of year for us. 2020 is almost over. It's the year we hit 1,000 subscribers, and I cannot wait to see what 2021 can do for us. So I want you guys to be along for the ride. So again, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next time.